Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Talkin Kop. It is Tuesday, the 18th of March. I'm Gav, that's Kev, that's Chris, that's Ashley, and this is the Run In, a show where we're going to look at not every single individual game between now and the end of the season, but where everybody is, where Liverpool are, where the rest of the people are, and see where we think we might end up come the end of the season. Liverpool currently sit with a 12-point lead with 9 games to go and don't play again until the 2nd of April, 24 hours after Arsenal play at home to Fulham, I think. Kev, I'm going to start with you. I think the idea of this show is not to go through every single show or every single game that's to come for Liverpool, but it's more, how are we feeling right now? Because, look, we've gone out to PSG in what was a fucking mad two-legged affair. We go to 120 minutes during the week. We go out. We lose the League Cup final to Newcastle, deservedly, by the way, because I haven't been on. I was drinking on Sunday. Not gonna lie. We go out. We lose that game deservedly, and by the way, I just want to say a big, massive well done to Newcastle, who are outstanding on the day. And Davey is there, and I'm glad he's here. I want to say to Davey, I hope you enjoyed every single minute of it because you fully deserved it. And well done to Newcastle. But Kev, we lose that, and we looked a bit leggy. We looked a bit not at the races for me very early on in that game. But immediate concern for you is that international break comes at a good time, because I think Megan said that in the chat. It's coming at a good time. Let's reset, and we're back to one game a week from here on in, and that might suit Liverpool just to where we are at the moment and what we have.
Yeah, look, my worries, it's been a while since we've lost back-to-back games in the first place. My main worry really goes back to the Southampton game, and even further back than that. I think the last time we can safely say that we played well and confident in an attacking sense was Newcastle at home. And that was, February 26th or something around back that time, when we won 2-0. We looked comfortable. We looked well in control. We looked solid. Southampton, we won 3-1, but it was 2 penalties. And I said it to Ashley on a post-match show that I was starting to get a bit worried about our ability to score from open play. And we look kind of devoid of ideas ever since the Gakpo injury. Having that threat from the left-hand side, a live goal threat in Gakpo from the left-hand side, seems to have stifled us an awful lot since he got injured. So, yeah, the international breaks definitely come at a really good time. The hope will be, obviously, that everyone comes back mentally refreshed, because I think that last week and the manner of going out against PSG and losing to Newcastle, mentally that would have drained a lot of players, but physically we looked on the ropes. And I don't care what Virgil says, I don't care what Arne Slot says, that performance against Newcastle was as leggy as you'll ever see from anyone in a final. And we look like we need a break. So some players will play 2 games away on international duties. Some won't. I don't expect Curtis Jones to play 180 minutes played for England. I don't know if he'll play at all. But you hope that the majority will come back refreshed and look to attack the last 9 games and reset a target for themselves as to where they want to finish the season and how they want to finish the season, because I'm sure they'll want to finish it strong. But how strong they'll need to finish it, that's on them. That's completely on their table.
Yeah.
Because you look at some of the fixtures that are coming up first, and yeah, these are all games that you should be winning. Every single one of them. But mentally, they have to be right. And I think that's half the problem. Yeah. I think they look mentally fucking wrecked after those last 2 games.
Chris, I watched the game obviously on Sunday, and I felt
so did I, sadly.
Yeah, so did we all. But watching the game on Sunday, I felt like Newcastle had more energy, which is probably understandable, right? But I felt like Liverpool I think they went in with a plan that didn't suit them, that they didn't put into place properly. They didn't go in and put that plan into action properly for me. I think they look to sit a bit deeper and not allow Newcastle's fast players, Isaac, Barnes, Murphy, get in behind them. And because of that, I think we got the energy in midfield was just too much for Liverpool. You can talk about, set piece stuff and Dan Bourne and who's marking them and all that sort of stuff. You can go into that. But I think part of it was legginess, but part of it for me was a plan that we didn't press them. I don't think we wanted to get high up the pitch against them, because I think when we did press them, they had to hit it long, and Van Dijk and Kanate dealt with that quite well. It was just the second ball, but in the immediate terms, do Liverpool just need a reset here? Did he just go, right, it was a mad week, it was a tough week, we brush it off, we go again? Because let's be fair, right, we've lost the League Cup final, deservedly, as I say again. We've gone out of the Champions League, possibly deservedly as well. I thought PSG were excellent over the 2 legs. But in the league, we've still only lost 1 game. You know what I mean? League-wise, we're going along absolutely fine. Is it just a case of, right, reset this? There's an awful lot going on there. Now it's just a clear path between now and the end of the season. And we know 100% what games we have left. And there's 9 of them.
Yeah, I mean, look, we'll never know the actual plan, but my assumption, the plan was to sit deep, conserve energy, contain, and make it a 30-minute game, and thinking we'd hit them on the break. But because of, Newcastle pressed us better, our passing in general was a bit like the PSG away game, pretty lacklustre. So it didn't really give us many opportunities. And we showed a couple of key players either out of form or in Gakpo not available at the right time, which is just unfortunate because he'd been the most informed person in that competition. I also think for the manager, it is a learning curve, because he probably hasn't got some of his rotation right, and you saw in the last 15 minutes, while it was a bit of a basketball game, as soon as we got Harvey Elliott, Jones and Chiesa on, Newcastle had more threats to worry about, they had more pace to worry about. All of a sudden, Mo Salah was involved in the game for the last 15 minutes because he didn't have 2 or 3 guys man marking him, whereas I think with Gakpo being out and because of the form of Diaz and Nunez, even a nice possible way for Newcastle, they just had to double up on Salah because they were like, those other 2 aren't going to hurt us, whereas Gakpo in form would. And so it's a little bit of a perfect storm. But listen, credit to Newcastle. Newcastle took advantage of it and 2-1 flatters Liverpool.
Yeah.
Truly flatters Liverpool. 2-1 really flatters Liverpool. If that had finished 3-1, 4-1, you wouldn't have sat here complaining about it because they deserved to be comfortably ahead. That's probably the most disappointing final performance probably since '96. So that's something for the squad and slot to work from. I think it's more of a mental. That was more of a mental tiredness than a legs thing.
Yeah.
For me personally,
but I think
tired minds creates tired legs in some ways. You know what I mean? Because if you're happy, the game's going well, things going good. Teams look less tired. Teams have more vigor, more energy. They have more of the ball. That sort of goes for it. But on the flip side, and listen, this, like you said, first time we've lost back-to-back games, I think someone puts in 9 months. So it doesn't happen very often. Unfortunately, it's happened at the worst time of the season. But it's also brought out, I think, some of the worst parts of our fan base, which is because Liverpool have won a couple of games. And look, we're all hurting. Poor Ashley, Kev and Matt had to do a post-match show. I was actually quite pleased I was actually at my family watching it, so I didn't have to deal with it. But honestly, some of the shite I saw on the chat was ridiculous. Personal attacks on the guys, which was out of order. A few people I messaged on to fucking wind the necks in. And also, baby out with the bathwater. It's now like, we're going to bottle the lead. This is crap. The whole squad's nowhere near as good. Jamie Carragher's jumping on the bandwagon. I'm going, these are just good players. None of these are great players. I'm like, there just needs to be a little bit of a step back of perspective of yes, it's been a disappointing 2 weeks, and yes, there are things we want to improve, and there are areas of squad we'd like to improve. All that can be true, but we don't have to go to the point where we're like, people are saying acting like the league's going to go to pieces. It takes some doing for Arsenal. For Arsenal to win the league, they need to go perfect, and they haven't done that all season. They haven't won more than 3 games in a row all season.
Yeah.
Maths don't lie, form doesn't lie. They're not going to all of a sudden go win 9 in a row. They've showed that all season. So, that's just the way I feel about it. So, do I think the league will get won? Yeah, I think it will. I think it'll be won for the Arsenal game.
Yeah, I think it has been like you get these things happen, and that's not making excuses. I think Liverpool. It's a good point you make. A mental fatigue leads to the legs. I think I think we might have I think we might have worried about on Sunday. I think we might have worried about the legs that were in the team, and
Yeah.
I think we might have tried to be too clever. That's how I feel. Getting the
Mm.
ball up the pitch to Salah, and he turned around and he passed it back 25 yards to Gravenberch, and then we're starting all over again, and we get up so far, and then we pass all the way back again. It was like having the ball without doing anything with it. And I'm not asking for us to go gung ho, but I'd like us to show we might try trigger something up front, and might try a ball, and we just didn't. Um, it's one of those where it just happens, and I'm with you. We've had a really, really, really good season, way more than we expected. Um, it's disappointing when it comes to the Champions League, and it's disappointing when it comes to the League Cup, and there's even a little bit of disappointment in the FA Cup stuff because that team probably should have won that day, but we didn't seem like we gave a shit about that anyway. But all of a sudden it's like the world is ending. It's not, and we all know we have to make adjustments to this squad in the summer. We all know we have to, bring in players, and whether that's enforced because the three lads on the contracts leave or whether they stay and we want to add to the squad, we all know that's going to happen. But you have to take, for me, I'm taking the season on what it has been so far, which has been really fucking good. And yeah, you go out, but like, Anticos is there. Have you not heard the latest Gav? Disappointing season if we only win the league. Tell all them people to fuck off and stop listening to them. Right? They're all fucking pricks. Right?
But also,
Come
where was
here.
this? Where was this last? Where was this last season when City only won the league? It's a nonsense.
Yeah, it's just
But
it's just one of those things where oh look, they've gone out with 3 trophies and their season is over. No, it's not. If honestly, there's not a Liverpool fan out there that if you said to them, I'll just give you the league. You're only getting the league, and you go out with 2 cups in a week. They go, yeah, bring it on. Fuck us out with the cups.
yeah.
We don't care.
Do you know what I think? Do you know what I think it is? Just that this is how we as Liverpool fans used to talk about United in the 90s. Oh, it's shit for United. They only won the league this year. Oh, they're only going to get a league and an FA Cup. This sort of shite has always come out. You see it more now because of social media. This is because people are worried because they're like, fucking hell, they're going to win the league, and and I think loads of now sort of reside to that fact, and they're just trying to find any sort of deflection to make themselves feel better. Listen, I used to do it in the 90s. Try and make out United only winning the league one year was an average season for it. Fuck, it wasn't. It was very good.
And
you just try to kid yourself on, don't you?
And to be fair, look, it's people will look at this and go, oh, but look, you're glossing over this. I'm not glossing over anything. If you're being realistic and you go into this season and honestly, and don't get me wrong, disappointed on Sunday, but I did say in the build up to the show we done to build up, what's it called? It's called the preview. I did say in that listen, whatever happens on Sunday happens, right? If we win, brilliant. If we lose, so be it. Move on. We have bigger things to fry, and it is the league, and it's just give me the league. Limpa Monkey says the mics are better now, Gav. Yeah, sorry, mine was toned down a little bit. I apologise. Don't send any strongly worded emails. I won't be replying to them. But look, it's disappointing, but there's a much bigger prize on offer there that's within our grasp. Actually, this international break, it does feel though, and like the lads have said, it does feel like we need it. Just a little bit of a mental reset. Go away with your international teams, don't get fucking injured, come back, and they'll all be back by the Wednesday or the Thursday, and we don't play till the following Wednesday, and it gives us a chance to get in and go, right, 1 game a week, lads. Everything goes into these games. You'd want Liverpool to be coming out and going, right, we're going 100 miles an hour now. We are going 100 miles an hour 9 times, and then see where it leaves us, which should leave us as league champions.
Yeah, and I think, a lot of us think about we think about the players and how they're going to go away on international duty, and maybe they won't get quite as much of a break as we would like. But I think the person that's going to benefit from this break more than anyone else is Slot, because I think that he looks like he hit a bit of a wall in those last 3 or 4 games. I think a lot of that was enforced due to the squad that he had and the injuries that he had. But, I'm looking back at some of, the footage from whether it's the PSG game or whether it's the Newcastle game, and it feels very much like you're hitting your head against the wall and doing that whole like expecting a different result from the same thing, specifically with our forward line. With Jota and Diaz and Mo combined, it just, as Kev pointed out, our creation from open play has really dried up. I think it's quite easy to decide, okay, we're going to put 3 or 4 men on Mo Salah, and then their other 2 players are not going to create. And we can let, sort of like we do with Doku, we can let them have as much space as they want. They can kind of be threatening on the wing, but they're not actually going to do anything with it. He hasn't really had a break mentally to kind of come up with new ideas and, fresh tactics. I mean, we're talking about what, like 5 months now? He might have gone home for a couple of days to visit his family over Christmas, but he doesn't, his family doesn't even live here. So for him to be able to go back to his country, be able to see his family, have a few days off, and kind of just wipe the slate clean, I think that'll benefit us just as much as the players kind of getting that break. And I don't want to underplay the fact that the players getting a break from this is also incredibly crucial because, they just looked tired. They looked mentally like it was the first time that the plan hadn't worked. And I think that that's kind of something that, we see Slot, he's new. The players have developed a level of trust with him. And for his plan to fall flat the way that it did, particularly against Newcastle, is going to be a new phenomenon for them. At least with PSG, they were kind of competitive. I think if you look at that Newcastle game, that I said it after the game directly. I think that's the first time that I felt like Slot really failed in terms of what his plan was, which is surprising because we did so well against Newcastle maybe like 3 weeks ago. I don't know. I think we just kind of need this reset where maybe it just diffuses some of the tension. It diffuses some of the stress. We've said that the team has dealt really well with, not being in the limelight because of a league run, but, we can't underestimate what that means for them. They've been under a lot of pressure, and they will feel it more than we do. We feel disappointed, but they are going to feel it even more than we do in terms of dropping out of those 2 competitions. So I hope they take that as fuel and use it for that final run of games, because if we see more of the same, I think that, I don't think we're in danger, but I think that it's going to be a slog.
Yeah, I agree. I think if I look at Kev's talking about the next 4 games for Liverpool, I think realistically, I think Liverpool should take between 10 and 12 points out of those next 4. And if you do that, if you take 10 to 12 points, it's over. The sort of way it's just over. But Kev, what we've talked a bit about Newcastle there. We've talked about the last couple of weeks and the mental side of it, going out of the Champions League, losing the League Cup final, and you talk about the physical side of it, where you go, look, they look tired, and the stats tell you that they haven't ran as much this season, and they haven't done this season, and he's controlled the ball a lot more this season, so he should be able to go that bit more. But how much of it is down to it's just big game after big game, and sometimes you just hit that wall where you go, we just need a break. Yeah, I'm not trying to downplay the last couple of, not even the performances. I suppose the performance on Sunday wasn't good. I thought we were okay against PSG. I just thought it was a really good game of football. But how can it be overplayed? Or can people overplay the fact that they've heard this we're fucked now, or can you underplay it where is it about getting a balance?
I'll tell you what. This isn't a video game. This isn't a case where you press start and they all start with 100% energy and you win the game and then they start the next game with 100% energy and you go again. This is real life. In a 9-month season, you're gonna win games. You'll lose games. It's the first time this season that we've lost back-to-back games. First time. You see comments like, this is wrong, that's wrong, if we'd have signed this player, if we'd have signed that player. Let me tell you something. I watched Martin Zubimendi playing against Villa. I think it was against Manchester United for Sociedad. Yeah. You ain't getting 50 million for him now. Not on the strength of what he's done this season. in the same way as Bilbao are not getting maximum fee for Williams. They're just not. These players went to the well last summer for Spain, and now they're suffering for it. I don't think Arne Slot has utilised his squad enough over the entire season, and I think that's bit him on the arse in this group of fixtures.
Yeah.
But saying all of that, we win the rest of our games, we're going to hit 97 points. That's fucking outrageous in any walk of life. And I don't care who you are, even if we don't hit 97. If we hit 90 points for a season, and bear in mind, this is a start.
I think that puts him in the top 10.
That he was given.
The top 10, Kev.
Yeah, easy. This is a squad that he was given to coach and to improve. And he has. He's coached this side. He's changed how we play. And he's improved the players. No doubt about it. And we'll finish the season, and I think we'll probably average out the same points per game as we have done for the season so far. We'll either be knocking on 90 points or just above it, I think. And that, by any measure, is a fantastic season. Knowing that he's going to get players in the summer that suit his style of play even more. That's what the league and the media are shitting themselves over. They saw Klopp doing it, and they're like, wow, he got to a Champions League final and got this points total. Then he come back, didn't sign virtually no one, and won the league. But at least Pep is there. Pep will stop him, so it's fine. Now you're looking at Arsenal look like they'll finish second for the third time in a row, and they look like they're running through treacle at the minute. Man City look like they need a they need a rebuild. They need to sign what they've done in January again in the summer. And then he's got to get them playing his way. Chelsea are a basket case. Newcastle will be back in the Champions League, but realistically, are they going to be able to do enough to put a title challenge in? No. What they're all terrified of is Arne Slot has done this with none of his players that he wants at the club, or none of his players in that will suit his style more. That's coming. So who's going to stop us from doing it again? Nobody. It's up to us now to build on this season and go forward. I'm looking at this run-in. You're looking at Everton, Fulham away. Fulham are fighting to get into Europe. That'll be a tough one. Everton at home. Everton's always going to be a tough game. West Ham should be beating West Ham at home, no problem. And going away to Leicester, I think that could possibly be the game that either puts them down or whatever. That you expect to be going to Leicester and beating them. That's 12 points. That puts us on 82. All right.
If you win your next four league games, you win the title of Leicester.
I think so. I said early on in the season, I think this title will be won before Easter. And to this day, nothing has convinced me of any different. I think I said this to you back in December, that I felt that the way we were going and the way everyone else was going as well, I felt that this was going to be done with change, with time to spare. And I always had it in my gut that this will be done in around Easter time. And I think worst case scenario is that it'll be won at home to Spurs. But I think there's every possibility that it's won without us having to play.
Chris, we talk about, where we're ahead, and a lot of people in the chat are saying, look, the way the fixtures have been rearranged, Arsenal play before us, I think, every single game before the end of the season, before the last game of the season. Well, they play us at the same time in two games.
We're on telly every game now until the end of the season. I think every one of our games is a Sunday.
Yeah.
Because and to be honest, for a lot of you, that should be telling. TV companies aren't stupid. They expect Liverpool to get the League One in the next 4 or 5 games, so they want the game where they can say that's the title.
Yeah.
Because they want the montage, they want the...
Of course they do. Like,
they want all that sort of jazz.
Yeah.
What they need.
But you look at what's left in the league, and I'm putting that aside for a minute. There's 9 games left, 12 points, get all that sort of stuff. When it comes to Liverpool, like we talk about I suppose the international break, which is not really a break because a lot of them are going away and they're going to be training every day and they're going to be playing 2 games while they're away. Now, 2 games over 2 weeks is not a huge amount, but considering we're probably playing 6 games every 2 weeks,
Probably
but
change the environment.
or 4 games every 2 weeks. I apologise, but it's just a mental break from what Liverpool are doing. We can get away with your international and you can play our games, come back and everyone's refreshed and great to see it again and everyone has kind of a new pep in their step. But what do you want to see from Liverpool? Like, because I know a lot of people, and don't get me wrong, stay in the chat there saying, look, we've won nothing yet. There's chances for Arsenal to close the gap and put pressure on us, and that's absolutely true. The sort of way. But what do you want to see from Liverpool? Like, I think people are concerned that we come back from this, and all of a sudden it's the same 11 again, and we're looking at us going, geez, we haven't started this half, and we've got away with that. Do you want to see them come back and say, you know what? Like a lot of people have said, Arne Slot is learning on the job. He has to trust this player more. He has to trust that player a bit more. Do you want to see him come back and go, yeah, he's thrown in a bit of a bleeding weird one there, but all for it. A Chiesa starting, or an Elliott starting, or an Endo starts, or wherever it might be, where he says, you know what, they've been away, they've come back, they were tired before they left, they're still tired, I'm going to have to go with the legs. Because say what you want, how bad we were on Sunday, just taking that on its own kind of situation, Liverpool looked a lot better when they got players on the pitch that you mightn't think are starters, but had energy and had intent about them. Is that what you want to see from Liverpool? Because what I want to see is I want to see Liverpool come back and go, right, 9 games, everyone all in, and we're literally going to make it hell for people to play against us.
I don't think this will be popular. I don't think massive changes in the squad because I think they'll just try and get through the Everton game. It'll probably be a draw because knowing the derby after an international break is a draw. That's kind of how they fall. But after the derby, it's 1 game a week. So they're literally going to have 1 game a week. Plenty of time to rest, plenty of time to rotate, plenty of time to plan for every single one of these games, which is, training, for Slot. This next 5-6 weeks could be gold dust for him. It's 5-6 weeks on the training pitch. He's not had that because it's rest, recovery, rest, recovery, rest, recovery. And he mentioned, I know people said it was a bit tongue-in-cheek about Chiesa and Elliott. Said, but they don't train with the first team squad because the first team squad are sat in a gym doing recovery, so they don't get to do bits together. So this will be an opportunity to do that. So I don't think there'll be massive changes in the next 4 or 5 games because it would be a game a week. But what it will do is, because it's a game a week, it's plenty of time for them to recover, plan, and come up with maybe the same start 11, but some tweaks in intensity. And also, they can afford to go a bit more gun-ho because they know they've got a 7-day break, which they haven't been able to do before. So that's also why I'm slightly less concerned. And listen, Stevie said before, he's right. Arsenal could win their games, put pressure on us. They've got to do it, though. And the issue I've seen with Arsenal this year is when expectation has been hitting them, they have struggled with this expectation, which is why all the excuses come out. And yes, they have had injuries. Yes, they have had some decisions go their way. So have others. But when they didn't have injuries, they were still dropping points in games you'd expect them to win. So, and I look at the next 4 fixtures. Arsenal and Liverpool's next 4 fixtures are identical in terms of strength of team, order of games. So there's no excuses. There's no easy run for Arsenal in the next 4 games compared to Liverpool. The run's identical. So yeah. I don't see many changes. I think the only thing that's going to be an internal frustration for us all, and we'll just have to get through it to the end of the season, is who plays the number 9. Because quite frankly, whichever one we pick, we can have a fault with or have an annoyance with. Jota has never looked right since he came back from that fell line down on his chest. He's never looked right all season. Nunez is, we've seen it this week, he was great at PSG away. He was shite in the other 2 games. That's Nunez, that's what he is.
That's him in a nutshell.
Yeah, and Diaz has just lost all sort of confidence. The best thing that can happen to Liverpool is Gakpo being fit. Again, I think it's Gakpo, Salah, and then you just make do with someone in the middle. What might help us now is, if a game's tight, I think he might trust an Elliott or a Chiesa more to come off the bench and give us a bit of a spark. I'd be all right with seeing Chiesa through the middle, just for something. If you want to just do a wild card, that'd be your one wild card. Perhaps throw Trent in the middle. The big wild card, though, is going to be right back, because by the sounds of it, Trent's going to be out for a while, and the Northern Ireland managers seem to let slip that it sounds like Bradley's hoping to get back in the Liverpool team before the end of the season. that doesn't sound like he's back anytime soon.
Yeah.
So this could be is this Jones at right back? Is it Kwanzaa at right back? I think that's where you might see a bit of a funky tactical changes. What do you do with no right backs?
Yeah. Stephen Lennon makes the point that Arsenal have a big ding dong toy to play as well, just like we had with PSG. Yeah, look, we're all. I think a lot of people when they're talking, they presume that Arsenal are going to put 85 points on the board. I'd still stand by the fact that I don't think Arsenal break 80. That's my opinion. I don't think Arsenal break 80 points. And if Arsenal don't break 80 points, Liverpool need 3 wins from 9. That's the truth of it. And possibly could be 2 wins from 9 if they were to avoid defeat against Arsenal. But I completely understand. Like, there'll be people out there going, what is wrong with you people? Like, they're 12 points clear. Don't worry about it. But I do understand people going, yeah, but hold on a minute. You know, and past stuff can sting you and be in your mind. And I completely get that.
There's a lot of PTSD going on.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think actually, if we went out, if we had went through against PSG, right? Just went through against PSG and got a late goal or something like that. And say for argument's sake, we lost on Sunday, but we lost to a brilliant game, end-to-end game of football where both teams went for it. And Isaac managed to get a late winner. You go, do you know what? It was a bleeding great game, you know. But it was more the style of the defeats or the exits from both cups that kind of hurt people and make them start to think beyond, you know, oh, what about this and what about that, you know. Like,
yeah.
If I reverse that, Ashley, and I say to you, Arsenal have gone out to PSG and they've lost the League Cup, they weren't great, but they're 12 points clear. We're probably sitting here going, yeah, they're 12 points clear though. And we're not winning enough games. Anyway, do Liverpool just need to concentrate on themselves here? Forget everybody else. Go out and say to yourselves, listen, we need 15 points from 27. End of story. Just get 15 points from 27 and you're absolutely fine. Because my only concern is that they do come back from the international break and they've all played, a majority of them have played 2 games and they come back in and it's like, yeah, I was away for 2 weeks working hard with the international team and now I'm back. But we do have that little buffer of about 6 days actually where they'll all be back before we play Everton, which I think is a massive plus.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things at play here. I mean, like I said, I genuinely feel like from a fan's perspective, a lot of us have PTSD where, you know, especially last season where we fell off in the manner that we did, kind of capitulating at the end of the season when we kind of had all these big hopes and dreams for Klopp's big send-off. I think, you know, there are echoes of that here. It's not the same, but the media will make it feel the same. And I think, you know, if you go onto YouTube and you look at some of the videos that are being made by other content creators, like, it's pretty much universally like, is Liverpool in crisis? And if you watch enough of those clips or if you see enough of those BS stories on Twitter, you can send yourself in a spiral. And, you know, whether we like to admit it or not, you know, because it's Slot's first season, we're still kind of in this kind of getting to know you phase where, you know, we're trying to build up true faith and trust in what Slot's doing. And I said it earlier, you know, I think the players are also trying to build up faith and trust in what Slot's doing. And for us to kind of see him fail in that manner, I think, you know, there's so many people, we see them in the chat sometimes that are like, well, I told you so. I told you this was coming. And this has been the first time this season that we've actually had an opening for those people to kind of come out from under the rocks and say, see, I told you. Like, I mean, Slot has only lost, this is the first time he's lost 2 back-to-back games in his managerial career, which is absolutely wild. I mean, we forget how kind of new and inexperienced he is, and the fact that he's doing what he's doing with our squad is so incredibly amazing. But because we haven't seen it before, because we don't have this buildup of trust with him, we aren't like absolutely certain that he's going to get it done. We're still kind of reserved and we're scared. I think that's what it is. I mean, we're all kind of scared of feeling the hurt that we felt last year. And I think as fans, we need to support the team. And I think that's the first focus in terms of what the fans need to do. We need to not get on board the panic train. We need to 100% say, we believe in these guys. From the team perspective, I think that's what they're going to do. You know, they're very good at shutting out outside media and noise. And I think that, you know, they will come back and they will have kind of their marching orders and what they're going to do. But for me, it's more about the fans, and it's more about shutting out the media noise, because they absolutely want to see us crumble. And I think that only happens if everyone, including the team and the fans and everyone, buys into it and says, oh yes, we'll crumble. I don't think the team's going to think that way. I don't think Slot's going to think that way. So we as fans shouldn't think that way either. I trust the team. Trust where it's taken us. And don't let people drag you down.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fair. I think, as much as people like this international break, I think a lot of people would love if we were playing Everton tomorrow. If you just could go into a time machine and go, right, everyone jump onto the time machine here, and we're just going to fast forward 2 weeks, if that's okay, and Everton's tomorrow. I think everyone would be like, grand. There's too much thinking time going on. As much as it might be good, with someone in the chat said there, like they're away on an international break, they're playing one game a week while they're away on that international break. Some of them will play 2 games, some of them mightn't play a full game. You never know what way it's going to work. A lot of them will, though, in fairness. But I think
plus when they get back, there's probably because there's no games at the weekend because it's FA Cup.
There's about 6 days. Yeah, we have everyone back by the Thursday, and we don't play till the following Wednesday. So that'll be even if
time.
Yeah, there's plenty of time in there for where it goes. Brian says Arsenal aren't the city of the past. They've played 29 games and have 58 points, exactly 2 points per game all season, and that won't do it. It just won't do it. If Liverpool go,
it's not about them anyways. It's about us.
But the thing is, if Liverpool,
they're irrelevant.
Exactly. If Liverpool actually do the job Arsenal are doing and go 2 points per game and take 18 from 27, that's enough. And Liverpool have been. Yeah, and Liverpool have been above that. So I think it's the thinking time. I think it's the thinking time that has probably done a lot of people. Before we go, the run-ins there, the narratives are going to change game on game. If Liverpool go and win the next 3, it's like, right, it's just a matter of time. If Liverpool win 1 and draw 2 of the next 3 next 3 games, and Arsenal bring that in from 12 to 8 points, people go, it'll change game to game. But Kev, I'll go around the table on this and I'll let you go first before we finish. Where's your confidence levels on this, Kev? When you take everything into consideration, what's happened in the last week, what's happened for the season before, for the everything else in the season, the last week, the international break, the games we have coming up, who we're up against in terms of a title race. And to be fair, if you're counting Arsenal, you might want to count 1 or 2 behind them. That's only about 2 or 3 points behind them. There's not much in it there. But Kev, where are your confidence levels on this? Everyone, when you put it all together as a package.
I know my confidence levels are fine. I think the only positive you can take out of the last 20 minutes of the Newcastle game is I think he saw what Harvey Elliott can give him in a game that he probably needed in more games, where he's got great vision and a great eye for a pass and bundles of energy. And he also saw what Chiesa can offer maybe in the last 20 minutes of games through the middle. That goal, that pass in from Elliott, the touch and hit by Chiesa into the corner, that's as good a goal as you'll see in any game. That's a really good goal. It's just the fact that
touches in the Newcastle box than any of our forwards and midfielders combined.
I know, but
but
you got to look at it in the context of Newcastle were holding on and defending and seeing out the game. But it shows you what he can do when you're in control of a game, that he's got that technical ability, and it's up to him if he wants to use him. I'm fine. I think I'm still convinced that Tottenham will be giving us guard of honor.
Okay.
I look at the
that's okay.
Arsenal fixtures that Chris put in the chat there earlier, and they've got Fulham at home, tough game, but they should beat Fulham. Everton away, Arsenal don't like Goodison Park. Goodison Park will be alive for that kind of a fixture. 12:30 kickoff as well. Then they got Real Madrid. Home to Brentford, Real Madrid again, and then Ipswich, who they'll absolutely pulverise. But they'll drop points in those league games. Fulham, Arsenal, Brentford. They'll drop points there. I think Everton will be our acid test to see where players really are and we'll find out if they can't get up for Everton at home after what happened only a few weeks ago. Then I could start getting worried, But if we do our job and put in a performance that we know we're capable of, move the ball quicker, move the ball through the lines with confidence and pace, and do to Everton what should be done to them, then I'll be full of beans.
Yeah.
I'm still saying Spurs.
Okay.
I think Spurs have been giving us the guard of honor.
Chris?
Yeah, I'm similar to Kev. I'm thinking Spurs Leicester is when it's done. On Chiesa, I'm thinking he might get a few more minutes. One thing I do like about Chiesa, unfortunately we haven't seen him enough, so it's a very small pool to judge from, is he always works the keeper. Something our forwards haven't been doing. Our forwards recently quite like hitting the crowd. They're quite good at killing the crowd, but maybe not working the keeper. That's what Chiesa does give you, and I think that little bit of, and he's won a league in Italy, so that bit of maturity. And I think the other thing is we've got to bear in mind, while it's Slot's first season, so this will be his first league title because he was robbed of a league title over COVID because he should have won the title with AZ, but the league got expunged. That's how they did it in the Dutch league. For a lot of these players, this will be their first league title. For a lot of these players, this will be that was their first Champions League one. It could be their last, but also this will, for all of those players, this is the potential to be their first league title in front of fans. Virgil, Trent, Salah, Robbo, Alisson, they won the league, but and listen, you can't help a pandemic. It happens, but I still feel robbed from that because we won the league, but you didn't celebrate the way you wanted to. I wasn't in Liverpool with you guys having a laugh and reminiscing and all that sort of stuff. And I do think that element of pressure is there because they want it. They want it so much, and I think that sometimes you have to remember that sometimes a factor that getting your first one over the line is hard. We saw it with, just give an example. Look at Pep's first season at City. Everyone told him Christmas is a bastard. The Feb-March hump is really tough. Everyone told Pep that. Everyone tells every manager that when they come to the league. But you've got to experience it first time, and then you realise what you need. That's what Slot do. By the looks at it, Slot's going to do it, but he's going to do it with a league title as well. Sorry, Chiesa didn't win the Serie A. I thought he'd won Serie A.
He won a European Cup.
Yeah, he's won the Euros with Italy in 20,
won the Euros.
Should have been 2020, was 2021. Yeah, look, Chris and Kev, confidence, Leicester / Tottenham. Ashley, for you, I think you've been fairly straightforward in this. Just stick to our gun, stick to our plan, keep doing what we're doing, and that'll do it. Yeah,
I think I am confident, but I don't want to set arbitrary deadlines for them winning it because I feel like there's a chance that we don't meet those deadlines and then all of a sudden feel disappointed again. I think we have to remember that we do have several games to go. I would love a guard of honor against Arsenal, but if it doesn't happen there, I don't want this team to be criticized.
Ashley, I'm going the Arsenal game. So don't put that in the ether. Don't put that in the ether. I need that.
If you're going, that's a good omen because you and your daughter tend to have the best luck in the entire world when it comes to going to different games. So that's actually a really good thing. I mean, for me, it's just like I said, it's backing the team. I think I agree with Chris in terms of I don't think Slot's going to get too experimental, but I do think that it's a chance for him to really fine tune his tactics and maybe there might be things he's wanted to change for months and months and hasn't really been able to do. He might want to see players like Elliott and Chiesa in those lineups, but he hasn't been able to have the chance to really see it enough to have conviction to do it in such a high kind of caliber game. So I think you might see a couple of changes, but I mean, for me, it's just, we've done this whole thing. We've done kind of slow and steady, and we've done it by just kind of keeping our heads down, staying out of the media narrative, and just sort of performing, not overperforming, but performing to the places that we know this team can do. And I think as long as we do that, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. Again, just don't get carried away with the narrative and just give this team whatever space it needs to make this happen. but support them along the way.
Yeah. Jerry says next 9 games are very much to be enjoyed. It's just a matter of when, in his opinion. Hotline says, look, I'll just sit over here and be a nervous wreck until it's done. Don't mind me. I completely understand that.
I agree too.
I completely, in fairness, you can't knock people when they're nervous. Like,
No.
you know, and it's if it's 12 points or 10 or 15 or whatever it might be, people just want it done. You know, and look, Hotline would love nothing more than Liverpool to go out and win their next 4 league games, and Arsenal lose at home to Fulham, and Arsenal can only get 82, and we're sitting on 82. We know it's all done, right? But you can't knock people for being nervous, and you will get people going, the fucking thing's over, we'll just give it over. But you can't knock people. You really can't, because every individual is in a different, you know, mental mindset. You know, mine at the moment is I just want them all to come back fit from the international break. That's my wish at the minute. I think it might be awkward for them, but the right back stuff was mentioned earlier. I think not having Trent there is actually killing us a little bit with getting the ball into the front line with quality. You know, Trent has a great variety to what he does. He can whip it down the sides. He can put it into your feet. He can chip it in. He has all the passes. He has all the hits when it comes to, you know, even switching play out to players out left, you know, or getting balls into the front man. Nothing against Kwanzaa or Avendo or Jones does that. They don't have that, you know, and that's where that's where his huge weapon is, and that's where Liverpool. My thing here is you do something at right back that hopefully keeps you solid, but I think the balls into the front men. I'm not even going to say they need to be better. I think the front men need to do better, and even if that means keeping the ball, you know, and not being like, looking for a Hollywood pass every time together, but do something with a bit of intent. You know, play a ball into a, you know, if Salah gets it, play Szoboszlai when he's making that run. You know, play it into Jota's feet and go after it and look for it back off. And all very one-dimensional at the minute. But I think that was more down to a plan and that just didn't work. Into these 9 games, bring it on. You know what I mean? Like I always say, you know, you can be nervous, you can be excited, you can be completely and utterly confident. But that's what, regardless of what way you're feeling, there's no wrong way to feel, by the way. But that's what you want to be in it for, don't you? You want to be going into the last 9 games going mad confident about this, or geez, nerves are gone, or overthinking. Yeah. But that's what you want.
Nervous wreck if it was close.
Yeah, but that's what you want.
You know it's Liverpool though, and they always make it interesting.
Yeah, and to be fair, like. Yeah. You know, people are saying, and I completely get it. By the way, someone said in the chat earlier, and I apologise, I didn't tag the post that said we can't. You know, I don't want to keep relying on Arsenal to drop points, but we're not actually relying on Arsenal to drop points. We're not.
Top line, you mentioned that.
You know, Liverpool would go and win this rather than Arsenal hand it to them. That's the way I feel about it. Confident, yeah. Why not? Why wouldn't you be? You know, let's put it this way: if it was any other club that were 12 points clear of you can guarantee they'd be confident. And everyone goes through a blip, and everyone goes out of cups, and everyone goes out of Champions Leagues, and it happens all the time. Like it's quite rare teams go all the way in everything. You know, the sort of way. So I'm absolutely fine with where we are. I think it's a good time to have a little break away from Liverpool for players, keep themselves ticking over. We get back with a week to prepare for Everton, and I think the Everton team talk has written itself since the final whistle at Goodison. You know, I know Faster Thought, he says, Steve is his name, is saying, look, I can see Everton turning up and we won't. I disagree with you on that. I think Liverpool, the derby's always kind of hot and heavy, but I think it's going to be there's even going to be a little bit more spice to that as to what happened at Goodison a couple of weeks back. So I'm absolutely fine with where we are. It's been a disappointing week on different levels. It's been a bit of an eye-opener on some levels, and there's been a few issues that you look at and you say to yourself, that needs sorting in the immediate and may need sorting in the longer term. But listen, we are where we are, and it's brilliant. You know what I mean? And enjoy it as much as you can. Try enjoy it, because like there's loads of games left, but there's loads of opportunity there for Liverpool. There really, really is. That's my take on it. Brian says 4 wins will do it. Imagine the Arsenal dressing room if we beat Everton, Fulham, West Ham and Leicester. Yeah. If you win them next 4, it's over, because Arsenal can only do 85. We'd be on 82, and we'd have 5 games left to get 3 points. You know, and we'll probably beat Arsenal. You know, it's like just the way it is.
I hope so.
Yeah.
There was a super chat. You want to throw that up there before we go?
Oh, there was a super chat there. We'll land. Yeah. Ashley, do you Sorry, this is from Sean. I'll press that button there. Yeah. Ashley, have you ever had a crisp sandwich? And boys, what would be your go-to crisps? I'm back with the random question, says Sean. Thanks for the super chat, Sean. And you've reminded me to remind people of a few things before we leave, Sean. So thanks a minute. Ashley, have you ever had crisps on a sandwich?
So I've never ordered a crisp sandwich, but
Well, you don't really.
You don't really
I've
order
ordered
it.
like a regular sandwich, and I've thrown, we call it potato chips, but I've thrown those into a sandwich. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And what's your favourite crisps then? Because you have tried an awful lot of the Irish stuff. By the way, I have 2 videos there that Ashley got her niece and nephew.
months ago.
Yeah, so long ago, and it's just been so busy with this podcast that I forgot about it. But I do have to edit them, and I'm going to put them onto YouTube. And people go, "What the fuck is this?" I'll tell you what it is, right? It's 2 kids that are going to go onto YouTube and think they're the best thing since sliced bread, right? Excuse the pun because it's crisps, but genuinely, they're going to think it's fucking amazing that they're on YouTube.
They do think they already think it's amazing. They've been thinking it's amazing for a long time.
I'm going to
So
make it my
please be
business
nice to
now.
them.
I'm going to, please be nice to them. I'm going to put it onto YouTube, and it's just going to be a random show where we're going to.
They're literally like 4 and 6 years old.
Yeah,
so
they're literally 4 and 6.
Please don't be mean.
Right? Don't be pricks, right? What I'm saying is, we're going to put this show out.
All he is.
We're going to put this show out, and we're just going to call it the Crisp Review, right? For the simple reason that we're going to put a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old onto the YouTube, and they're going to go to school going, "I am a fucking legend," and everyone in the school is going to go, "Yes, you are." And we're going to pick up 8 new subscribers off the back of it, and everyone is going to win, right? So that's just to let you know. Anyway, favourite crisp, Kev, quick before we go. Get out of here.
Very easy.
Don't say cheese and onion.
It's cheese and onion.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Kev.
I love chipsticks.
Salt and vinegar.
Chipsticks, but the ones with, they always leave the dust at the end,
Yes.
and you just
Yes.
rub your finger in it.
Yeah.
Those ones.
Yeah. And then
they
those
leave a
people that
nice
fold
tang
out the
at back of
packet.
your mouth.
Fold out the packet flat and just rub their hands all over the packet, which is a bit
Love
weird,
it.
but anyway.
Love that.
Crisps, Chris.
It's always salt and vinegar for a crisp butty for me.
Yeah,
I
I'm
love
with you.
salt and vinegar. Yeah, and I don't really mind which one because each one's slightly different. Like Disco's salt and vinegar are great because they're really strong, as are McCoy's. But there's always the Walker's Classic as well.
Yeah. Ashley, what was yours?
So we don't have cheese and onion as like a flavor here. That's not a thing.
Oh, absolutely
So
crisp.
there's something to try when she comes to Liverpool. Then.
Massive problem in the Americas.
We just don't have that. No, clearly we have lots of other things. Lots of other people like barbecue flavored chips in their sandwiches. I'm with Chris though. I think salt and vinegar is the way to go. Salt and vinegar. Kettle chips are my favorite, like the really crunchy ones.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, those are my favorite.
Okay.
Get Dave T's comment. Dave T's comments brilliant.
What's that?
Dave T's comments brilliant. Dave T's.
I haven't. Why can't?
Davey T's on a roll. He's so full of confidence.
Davey T says, "Why can't Chris run? Because they're walkers." Very good. I'll get
That's
my coat. Davey has invited us. Davey has invited us all to Newcastle's trophy celebration on the 29th of March, I think it is. And again, Davey, I hope you thoroughly enjoy it. You've been on this channel watching for the last couple of months now, and nothing but respect for you. And
he's
Newcastle,
a good sport too.
He is a good sport, and
Newcastle
should do nothing else but absolutely enjoy a deserved win in the League Cup final. Let me just say that for the record again.
I've upset Brian because I've called it a crisp butty.
Okay, it's a crisp sandwich. Yeah, it is a crisp sandwich.
Beef. Butty where I'm from.
Tony says beef hula hoops.
Ooh, beef hula hoops are nice.
Beef hula hoops are fantastic. McCoy's flame grilled steaks, says John.
Yeah.
Can't argue with them. Let me see. Mark Kavanagh thinks Trent and Bradley will be out for the season. Could be, but we're on to crisps now, Mark, to be fair.
No more football.
Football can fuck off. We're talking about crisps. Rancheros, says John Brooks. Right, can I just say Rancheros, right? Gone down massively in the last couple of years. They used to be a fantastic crisp, but they've gone down really badly in the last couple of years. Monster Munch says go Liverpool. Yes, fantastic.
Have you tried Seabrook Liam Perrins?
No, I don't even know what they are. Sounds like a restaurant.
No, Seabrook are crisps. They're a brand of crisps, but they do Liam Perry's flavoured crisp there.
No.
They're the ones.
Ballymaloe.
I used to like there was a Worcester sauce one.
Yeah, they did. That was nice.
Worcester sauce is fantastic.
We were supposed to do like a whole crisp show.
Yeah,
And
but I tell you what happened.
I know you went on a diet.
Yes.
But now I have like 300 Irish chip bags in my office at home.
Yeah.
Just sitting there.
Why
Like,
are they just sitting there? Why aren't you eating them?
well, I mean, I can chip away at it, but I can't eat 300 bags of chips because I made a
There's
mistake. in my
365 days in a year. You can get it. You can do it.
One a
You
day.
can do it. I got faith.
Actually, it's just a mentality thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
You need to.
Okay.
You need to tell you what you need to do. Actually, right? You need to stop letting the outside world get in on you. You need to stop. You create your own narrative here. You just eat
We
the
were
fucking
supposed
crisps.
to do this together, though.
I
Like,
know we
feel
were,
like
and
I've been waiting.
I've been eyeing up all these crisps in the shop because you gave me a list, and I was like, oh, we have them, and I'm not. One of them's called Tackies or something, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
I mean-
I'm trying.
Yeah,
Are they nice?
I've seen them. I don't know. I'm
Those
not
will
allowed to
burn
eat
your
them.
mouth off.
I'm not allowed to eat them. I'm not allowed to fucking eat them. Right? But I tell you what, but when May comes, right, and we're having a pint, I'll go out and buy loads of crisps and we just sit eating them. Right? And we go, yeah, they're good.
in May Duncan's.
Yeah, or in the Pogues, just fucking sitting drinking
You know
Guinness
what?
all
It'll
day.
be great. We'll have cold beer. We'll have chips.
And crisps. Yeah.
Crisps and whatever.
Davey says any tube of Pringles, the best Pringles by a country mile at a prawn cocktail once. By a fucking mile.
No.
We don't even have those here.
No,
I think that's an
fantastic.
entirely European Pringle brand.
Although
like
I will
Pringle
say, if you're going for Pringles, you know they're bringing out all sorts of flavors. There's a chorizo flavor Pringle, and honest to God, it's the worst thing you can ever put in
just
your
making stuff up now.
horrendous.
We
Barry
used to
says,
have pizza flavored Pringles when I was younger, and like, do you guys have those? Do you have pizza for the? I
No.
don't
Don't
know.
taste that pizza.
no,
Okay.
no.
It's the most artificial thing in the entire world. So, like, if you imagine Pringles being the most artificial potato chip in the entire world, and then you add like artificial pizza flavoring on top, it's like space food, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I think we've covered loads of crisps.
Ooh,
We've
red
covered
hot,
some
red
football.
hot chili Doritos. That sounds nice.
I'm not a big fan
Those
of
are good.
Doritos.
They used to have 3D Doritos that were kind of like puffy Doritos. I don't know if they have
Oh,
those
that's
anymore.
good.
But
Oh,
the
that's
Cool
good.
Ranch are very good. The blue Doritos, if you ever see the Cool Ranch.
Yeah, my daughter's a big fan of
Those are very
Doritos, to be fair. She'll take any colour bag. She doesn't care.
I'm a fan
Just
of
give me
the
Doritos. Anyway, we've covered a bit of football. We've covered a bit of the run-in, the title, the 12 points, the fixtures, but most importantly, crisps.
Cheers, Sean.
As always.
Best
Thanks a
super
million, Sean, for taking up probably 17% of this show now, talking about crisps. But once again, I will warn you, when Ashley's niece and nephew make their debut appearance on YouTube on this channel, I don't want anyone giving out going, what's going on here? What the fuck? Think about it when you're watching it. Just have a think about it. You know what I mean? Just use your love.
They have a glowing review, I will say. I won't give away any spoilers, but
Yes, they got big into the Banshee
were
bones
impressed.
and yeah, they got big into the stuff. Like they put the work in, and I have I'm gonna say I have the videos there, but I'm struggling to think where I have the videos. So
I have them saved if you need a.
yes,
you know,
I may need them again.
reset.
I may need them again, and I'm gonna make a big intro, and I'm gonna have music in the background. It's gonna be fantastic. And then
They'll love that.
and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna send them a screenshot where it just says they got 1 million views. Okay, and
And don't forget, they are in full Liverpool like garb. They are in head
yeah,
to toe
full Liverpool
outfit,
gear on,
So
all about the crisps.
it is
And
on.
then-
It's on brand, even though it's kind of
Yeah, and then
It's-
they're
it's
probably
much.
they're probably too well copped on to go 1 million views. No, we don't. We've 8 views. You know,
I think
Auntie
we could
Ashley-
probably get like
Auntie
you know,
Ashley, do you think
a
we're
realistic
fucking idiots?
goal of like 200 views or something like
You
that.
all
They
better
will-
like it. That's
They
what I'm
will,
saying. You
they
all
will
better like
100%
it.
get more of that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to let them see the video, and then I'm going to take all your lovely comments and I'm going to put them onto its own video, and I'm going to tag it onto the end of the video, and then I'm going to send the actual show with all the tagged on deadly comments to Ashley so she can play it to her niece and nephew. So if people aren't nice, your crisp will taste shit. Something along them lines. Right. Before we go, anybody that's a member on YouTube, thanks a million. We've stopped doing the member shows on YouTube. We've warned you for the last month that they have stopped. So please do not renew your YouTube membership. If you want to continue seeing the member shows, go across to patreon.com/Talkin Kop. The link is in the description if you want to join us there. All the free shows, all the member shows audio versions as well that you'll be able to listen to as well. Everything you need from this channel will be on Patreon. The free shows will remain like this, where they'll be on YouTube and you can watch it. And if you continue to do that and you like and subscribe and comment, brilliant stuff. But if you are a YouTube member, check your membership. We've told you about 30 times in the last month, but if you have forgot, go in and cancel that membership. Please cancel that membership. Check out Peter Smith has got the Philip Lynott, as he likes to call him. And I made a mad head movement while I said that on purpose. He has the Enigma show in Vicar Street in Dublin, sold out in April, back in June, also playing in Limerick as well. If you're around that area of Ireland, go and watch it. It looks absolutely brilliant. He's a new film called Cold Red Spain coming out later on in the year as well. Busy man is our PR, and we like to promote our mates when they're doing good stuff. So there you go. We've done that as well. I hope you've enjoyed it. Keep the faith. Relax. Enjoy it. Liverpool will be absolutely fine. Talk to you in a bit. Over and out.